What is your favorite quote from a fictional character? We're all stories in the end. We just have to make it a good one. The Doctor. 900 years of time and space and I've never met someone who wasn't important. One of my other favorite quotes by the Doctor. Pirates are evil, the Marines are righteous. These terms have always changed throughout the course of history. Kids who have never seen peace and kids who have never seen war have different values. Those who stand at the top determine what's wrong and what's right. This very place is neutral ground. Justice will prevail. You say, but of course it will. Whoever wins this war becomes justice. Flamingo. One Piece has no right to keep being so damn good after over 20 years and 1000 episodes/chapters. Death smiles at us all. All a man can do is smile back. Maximus Decimus Meridius. Gladiator. Smile for me now, brother. Strap on his armor. Conceal the wound. And still whipped Commodus bitch-ass. Suck a fat one, you funny emperor. I will not say do not weep. For not all tears are evil. Gandalf. At the final parting. In the Grey Havens. One of Gandalf's I always uses. Often the burned hand teaches best. After that, all advice about fire goes straight to the heart. Said after Pippin uses the Palantir. What doesn't kill you usually succeeds in the second attempt. Mr. Krabs. What is today but yesterday's tomorrow? Mr. Krabs. Just do one thing or the other. Don't try to be two people at once. / Arthur Morgan. Don't half-ass two things. Whole-ass one thing. R. Swanson. This town needs an enema. Jack Nicholson, Batman 89. I was their number one son. And they treated me like number two. The Penguin. Some Methodicas are always trying to ice skate uphill. Blade. Best line in the movie. That or catch you F's at a bad time. Less for the quote. More for the context behind the quote. To get back my youth I would do anything in the world. Except take exercise. Get up early. Or be respectable. Lord Henry in the picture of Dorian Gray. You could fill this whole thread with Lord Henry. A cigarette is the perfect type of a perfect pleasure. It is exquisite. And it leaves one unsatisfied. What more can one want? The moment one sits down to think. One becomes all nose. Or all forehead. Or something horrid. Look at the successful men in any of the learned professions. How perfectly hideous they are. Except, of course, in the church. But then in the church they don't think. It is only the sacred things that are worth touching. Dorian. Lord Henry was the best thing about that book. It takes a great deal of bravery to stand up to our enemies. But just as much to stand up to our friends. Dumbledore. I personally prefer, but a great deal more. Something Vimes had learned as a young guard drifted up from memory. If you have to look along the shaft of an arrow from the wrong end. If a man has you entirely at his mercy, then hope like hell that man is an evil man. Because the evil like power. Power over people. And they want to see you in fear. They want you to know you're going to die. So they'll talk. They'll gloat. They'll watch you squirm. They'll put off the moment of murder like another man will put off a good cigar. So hope like hell your captor is an evil man. A good man will kill you with hardly a word. Terry Pratchett. Men-at-Arms. The trouble with having an open mind, of course, is that people will insist on coming along and trying to put things in it. Diggers, all of his books were gold mines of wisdom and humor. Rest in peace, man. New Terry Pratchett. From Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, you'd better be prepared for the jump into hyperspace. It's unpleasantly like being drunk. What's so unpleasant about being drunk, you ask? A glass of water. The ships hung in the sky in much the same way that bricks don't never fails to make me smile. Or Arthur's description of the drink produced by the ship's replicator is almost, but not quite, entirely unlike tea. I don't know why, but the bit about how Arthur can't properly grieve the loss of Earth until he thinks there is no longer any such thing as a McDonald's apostrophe always hits on a strangely poignant way. On the one hand, it's an amusing absurdity. On the other, every time I've lost someone in my life, the grief doesn't really kick in until I think of it in terms of something small and mundane. And I always remember the McDonald's bit when I do. With my grandfather, it was realizing that he'd never make a water gun with his hand to spray my sisters and me in the pool ever again. With my grandmother, it was knowing that she'd never get a secretly approving little look in her eye when she watched us misbehaving and declared that we were horrid little children while smiling through it all. And for Arthur grieving the loss of his entire planet and species, it was recognizing that he'd never have a certain type of fast food ever again. Life is pain, highness. Anyone who says different is selling something. Let me explain. No, there's not enough time. Let me sum up. Underrated line and wonderfully delivered. Every line in this movie is wonderfully delivered. I don't see what's so terrific about creating people as people and then getting upset cause they act like people. Anyway, if you stop telling people it's all sorted out after they're dead, they might try sorting it all out while they are alive. Adam Young, Good Omens, and many more from Sir Terry, although I do like Gaiman as well. Close bracket. Ah man, such a good line, I love that book. I didn't fall so much as sauntered vaguely downward. TF2 characters have some amazing quotes. My favorite would be, if God wanted you to live he wouldn't have created me from soldier. Here's a Tauchin story. Once upon a time you died, and I lived happily ever after. The end. I've got 2 tickets to the gun show. But I'm not giving em to ya. I'm going with your tickets, hahaha. Falls asleep. Salandvich and me going to beat your ass. People. What a bunch of bastards. Roy from the id crowd. I'm disabled. Roy. Best episode of all time, changed my mind. When Ma ends up behind the bar wiping glasses, I lost it. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. Follow your heart, kid, and you can never go wrong. Apostrophe. You're killing me, Smalls. When you do things right, people won't be sure you've done anything at all. God. Futurama. Bender. I was God once. Got. I saw. You were doing very well. Until everyone died. In the beginning the universe was created. This had made many people very angry and has been widely regarded as a bad move. Not sure if this actually counts though, as Douglas Adams isn't really a fictional character. Do narrators count as fictional characters? The whole series could be on here, mostly harmless. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy describes the marketing department of the Sirius Cybernetics Corporation as a bunch of mindless jerks who'll be the first against the wall when the revolution comes. Curiously, an edition of the Encyclopedia Galactica, which fell through a rift in the time-space continuum from 1000 years in the future, describes the marketing department of the Sirius Cybernetics Corporation as a bunch of mindless jerks who were the first against the wall when the revolution came. I love Douglas Adams. Space is big. You just won't believe how vastly, hugely, mind-bogglingly big it is. I mean, you may think it's a long way down the road to the chemists, but that's just peanuts to space. I think about this quote a lot. Adams was a genius. Many that live deserve death, and some that die deserve life. Can you give it to them? Then do not be so quick to deal out death and judgment. Gandalf edit. Many have pointed out the missing ending. For even the very wise cannot see all ends. I never realized that was also a part of the quote. So thank you all, especially for making clear its significance to the meaning, or the other favorite. So do all who live to see such times. But that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. Apostrophe. Was going to say this. Gandalf is a legend, and McKellen did such an incredible job in the role. In this world, there are 2 kinds of people, those with loaded guns and those who dig. You dig. Blondie. The good, the bad, and the ugly. That entire movie is just one giant quote. I prefer, after shooting a man dead who was monologuing, if you're going to shoot, don't talk. Tuco. How lucky I'm to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard. Winnie the Pooh. I always liked this one from Pooh. People say nothing is impossible, but I do nothing every day. Apostrophe. If you've got time to fantasize about a beautiful death, why not live beautifully until the end? A guy that likes strawberry milk wasn't expecting a Gintama quote, but thrilled nonetheless. As someone who's binge watched 90 episodes in the last week, I too am surprised to see Gintama. People are bastards. Bastard coated bastards with bastard filling. Drive. Cox. Scrubs edit. Said to Molly Clock. Not J. D. Please stop reinforming me. You see Drive. When and there, he's explaining to that family that something went wrong and that the patient died. He's gonna tell them what happened. He's gonna say he's sorry, and then he's going back to work. You think anybody else in that room is going back to work today? That's why we distance ourselves. That's why we make jokes. We don't do it because it's fun. We do it so we can get by. And sometimes because it's fun. But mostly it's the getting by thing. Apostrophe. It ain't about how hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Rocky Balboa. The full quote from start to finish really hammers this home. Love this movie. It's become a bit of a cliche to quote it, but my god, it's a great quote. And yeah, the film is amazing. You can tell that Stallone wrote that from the heart. For those of us who don't know the whole quote, like me, and since no one quoted it, here it is. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place. And I don't care how tough you are. It will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now if you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. I'm always gonna love you, no matter what. No matter what happens. You're my son and you're my blood. You're the best thing in my life. But until you start believing in yourself, you ain't gonna have a life. Don't forget to visit your mother. Even better to hear him say it. Link. B/D_VG4UIWEC. T equals 56. If she were a spice she'd be flour. Louise Belcher. If she were a book, she'd be 2 books. Raccoon. Raccoon in the tub. You know, Hobbs. Some days even my lucky rocket ship underpants don't help. Calvin. Given the pace of technology, I propose we leave the math to the machines and go play outside. / again. Calvin. Careful. We don't want to learn anything from this. Also, Calvin. Reality continues to ruin my life, Calvin. There's no such thing as a painless lesson. Sacrifices are necessary. You can't gain anything without losing something first. Edward Elric. I'm a big sucker for stand up and walk. Keep moving forward. You've got 2 good legs. So get up and use them. You're strong enough to make your own path. Edward Elric. People aren't either wicked or noble. They're like chef's salads. With good things and bad things chopped and mixed together in a vinaigrette of confusion and conflict. The fact that it's Fernald saying that makes it so much better. The quote is from The Grim Grotto by Lemony Snicket, the 11th of the 13 books series. The Netflix show is a wonderful adaptation. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.